So I guess that the most commonly cited reason for this massive explosion in M&A in the accountancy market is the introduction of private equity into the sector. So what's been happening is that private equity firms have been acquiring an accountancy practice, which they call a platform, and then that accountancy practice has been capitalized by the private equity firm to then go and do lots of bolt-on acquisitions. So we're seeing these groups being built, and not through organic growth, but through M&A. And if you look at what's been happening, so if you look at what's been, over the last, if you look at the stats for accountancy M&A, you've seen a rise which has kind of followed the rise in the creation of these new platforms. So over the last few years, we've seen really a huge number of the lower mid-market and mid-market firms in the UK buying an accountancy practice, and then that accountancy practice going into the market and doing lots and lots of bolt-ons.
Yeah.
So there's the private equity money. I mean, people also talk about, really, you could say that the private equity money has only come into the sector because of the characteristics of the sector that make it very attractive for a private equity investment. So, for example, a lot of people point to the fact that accountancy revenues are relatively stable and sticky, and they're recurring to an extent because people need their accounts done every year, or an audit done every year, or tax work done every year. So you private equity obviously likes that, right?
Yeah.
Because it gives you really good revenue visibility. So that suits the private equity model. And then, so I guess that's a sort of really positive dynamic of the sector. But then you've got these other factors coming in, such as some people cite digitization, and how it's difficult for a small independent practice to invest in technology on its own account. If you're part of a big platform, you can do that more easily and spread the cost across a bigger pool of firms. And then you have some other reasons, such as, some people that we speak to, and you'll maybe, as somebody who was a partner in an accountancy firm, this will maybe resonate with you, Matt, is the absence, or maybe not the absence, but a smaller number of people willing to take equity partnership now relative to, I don't know, a generation ago. Some people cite that, and that maybe a typical sort of partnership candidate now is harder to come by than partnership candidates in the past, where it was just a rite of passage. You worked for an accountancy firm and you got to a certain stage and a certain age, and then you were offered equity partnership. A lot of people we speak to say actually the next generation are maybe they don't have the same motivation to own equity in the company, whether that's risk or lack of personal capital or whatever it is. So you've got all of those intrinsic factors that are influencing the sector, and then you've got all of this capital coming into the sector, and it's kind of this perfect situation for buyers and sellers, and that's really what's creating all of this activity in the sector.
That's really interesting. And yeah, I mean, obviously we've already got a lot of consolidation that's happened. Do you think there's still road to go, or?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were done, because I think we obviously we track all of this activity. I don't remember the exact number, but it's like 30 odd 30 odd private equity firms that are acquiring accountancy practices. So they're not all accountancy platforms, most of them are, but that feels like a lot of buyers in the market. And if you look at how many lower mid and mid market PE firms there are, sometimes it feels like, well, they've all got one, so that there's no more to go. There's no more, you can't. We've run out of PE firms to buy a platform. But well, I thought that at the sort of in the first half of this year, and then over the summer we saw Bishop Fleming being acquired by Sonova. We saw Burgess Hodgson being acquired by Adbury Partners, which is USP, which is the first time USP has made a primary investment in a UK accountant. And then we had Macquarie with AMS. And if you ask some of the industry insiders that are involved in a lot of the M&A in this sector, so, Cahal and James on the webinar this morning,
Yeah.
they reckon they reckon there's more to come. They reckon there could be 10 or 12 more platforms. Now, those platforms, there might be some UK funders of those platforms, but I think it felt like from the conversation today, and they were just back from the States, it felt like there's an increasing amount of US capital looking to invest in the space. And it might not just be secondary stuff, they might be coming in and doing a primary deal
Yeah.
in a firm.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's, based on what we're hearing from some of these insiders, there's more to come.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. I mean, I remember from something that Cahal said on the webinar this morning about how the UK, in his view, is basically 10 years behind where the US is. So
Yeah.
obviously over there, there's less
Yeah.
opportunities, and we're a bit more of a fertile ground for them
Yeah.
to look at. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.